Ryan, for you, have you given any thought to just the NFL's PA's, I guess, not decision, but trying to, I guess, potentially make it a different schedule for the offseason?
Yeah, I mean, I was in the executive committee, so there's been a lot of talks about that on both sides. Without going into too much detail, I think that kind of the gist of it is kind of a ramp up into training camp so that guys can really feel like at the end of the season they can start training like this as opposed to kind of coming like this, come back down to the facility, then kind of go back up again with OTAs in phase 2. So, I think it's just it's a moving target. You're kind of seeing, getting results and getting data from different places and seeing what's most effective and what gets guys on the field the longest and gives us the best chance to be successful. So, we'll have much more than that.
With the ramp-up period, I understand, but then what would this time be? What is your thoughts? Nothing? Just Zoom? What would this
I think the idea was that, you would have, guys would have the ability to truly get into an off-season program. So if guys are living in Fort Lauderdale
their own at
the end of the season, they can actually work out at their gym and not feel like they only have, a couple weeks to really do this, then have to report back for phase 1, right? So, I mean, don't shoot the messenger, man. I'm just...
But essentially no team-directed off-season until June?
Yeah, well, you would have, I think, I know it's probably going to get blown out of proportion, but in July, basically, say you went like July 1st, you would have phase 1, right? So it's like, as opposed to guys having to come here, we come here for 3 months, we do all these things, and we don't see each other for 2 months, right? And so it's like, well, is that the best and most effective way to train and to really get the most out of it? I think the counter argument is that you add a month in the beginning of it, it makes the season feel even longer when the league's going to start pushing for 18 and you're already playing 17. So I think it's there's going to be some back and forth, and I don't think there's going to be a perfect answer or solution.
Well, how receptive have you been, do you know, with this balloon you floated out there, if that's what it is?
I didn't cut the cord, man. But I think, it's been tossed around right now. It's not – I still think it's very early on in the talks, so I wouldn't give I'm not going to put too much more into it than that. And I think, like I said, new CBA, old CBA, there's going to be happy guys, pissed off guys.
Well, you're the NFLPA guy then. I mean, the 18 games, does that ring a bell with you? You think, no freaking way?
Well, I think there's a reason that they're already putting it out there in the media, right? Start talking about it, next thing you know, it becomes people think that's going to happen. So,
is it going to happen?
I hope not. I mean, I don't think I'll be in the league for that, that decision to come down. But, I think you start looking at, 16 was a lot for guys, and 17 is even more, right? So it's a lot to take on your body. But this is a business, and it's about making money.
If it does become a reality, what are your guys must-haves? If you're going to do this, okay, but then...
I bet you'd love that answer, wouldn't you?
You got a list, don't you?
Sure. Give us 50-50 share. Guys talk about lifetime coverage. I don't think no insurance company will ever write that policy. But I mean, I think that there's going to be some leaps and bounds, and I don't know. That's not an answer for the media, unfortunately, for you guys.
Again, as long as you've played and you've had the experience, do you really, in your heart, believe the offseason needs to be changed?
I don't think it's a perfect system now. I think when I got in the league, OTAs looked a lot different than what they do now, right? And it was every day, the ones would get 25 plays, and it was truly, knock and contact. And I think that there's certainly some benefit of being out here and being together as a team, but I also think that you're taking some unnecessary risk when you're playing 17 games.
Again, we've talked back on football.
Yeah.
We've asked you before, but Bernhard Raimann, the way he's evolved, what's been your impression?
I mean, one of the hardest working guys I've been around. I mean, I think truly that left tackle position, I think, above and beyond everybody else, it can be a little detail, micro-oriented. And I think for him, what he's really trusted is just his athletic ability. I think that's a big thing for him. I mean, he hasn't played football since he was a little kid, right? So it's been a short time compared to most, but I think he's done a great job of maximizing everything he does when he comes in the field, taking coaching. I know he talked to Costanzo for a little while, and just working every day to get better. I think that builds confidence and builds confidence going into the season.
Ryan, Jim Bob was just saying that you guys have been put in some stressful situations kind of intentionally during OTAs. How have you seen Anthony kind of handle that almost stress test?
Yeah, I think really well. I mean, I think that's certainly one of the pros about being this time of year is there's no consequences. And I think he's done a really good job of that. I think the whole offense has. I think that's what you gain when you get majority of the guys back year after year.
Ryan, as one of the vets, I know every offseason there's contracts and all that stuff. Just how big is to have Pittman locked up?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, obviously, I hope everybody gets as much money as they can playing this game, and certainly deserve it. I mean, the guy plays so hard. From the time he got here till the time now, and I know he will going forward. To have that guy in the room, and obviously a lot of skilled players in that room, young guys that look up to him. And it's just a really big part and part to why that room's so successful and why we're successful on offense.
Ryan, a fun subject here. You know the 18th game has been broached, right, by the commissioner and others.
No, really?
Yeah, I'm sure you had no idea.
Yeah.
Do you have any appetite for that?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. But like, even under, are there any circumstances where that would be appealing to you at all?
No. I mean, I think it. If people understood how hard it was to play 16, then they took another one, right? And it's like they get rid of preseason games. Well, okay, well, who's that going to hurt, right? The guys that don't have the shot, the guys that are the undrafted guys or late round guys that need to go out there and improve themselves, right? It's not. And I think that the fans see it as like they don't watch the preseason games. Well, they have no idea what goes on inside the building, right? So, 18 games sounds great when Roger was saying it on Pat McAfee podcast, but until you're the one going out there and putting the helmet on for 18 of those games, then come talk to me.
And then last thing, just like we went from 16 to 17, talking about 18. I mean, like, is there a line where it's like, all right, at some point this is not smart?
I mean, I think it's up to every player to decide that, right? I mean, if they said, hey, you guys get 70% of revenue and we'll take 30 as owners, I think a lot of guys would sign up for that, If you're making $100 million playing quarterback, So I think everybody's got a line to draw in the sand, and we'll see where that is.
But again, the fact that they'll put that out there, I mean,
he's smart. He knows what he's doing.
It's gonna happen.
I mean, I'm sure you guys all tweeted about it at some point, right? So the fans think, all right, 18 games is coming in 6 years from now, and they start talking about it now, huh?
You won't care in 6 years.
I'll still care. Yeah.
Well, but now you won't be invested.
You don't think I'll be in the league still?
You're a pro player, whether you're playing or not playing.
100%. I mean, they like I said, the fans, and rightfully so, they shouldn't know all the injuries that we go through, right? They don't know what it takes to play on Sundays, and I think it's just too many games.
So if an 18th game came with a second bye week, is that a reasonable trade, or is that not enough?
I mean, I think I said it pretty clearly that I don't want 80% of revenue share would be great.
The number keeps going up.
It doesn't.
Sure. I mean, it's an arbitrary number. It's a moving target, right?
Man's a negotiator, man.
As a unit, it seemed like you guys just got back to your normal self last year. How would you describe the why behind that?
I mean, I think I talked about it in length. I think after the 22 season, Tony came in, saw that room for what it was still a lot of great players, but not a lot of confidence, right? And I think there's a lot of multitudes of reasons for that. So when he came in, the first day that we came in last year around this time, it was not even about football X's and O's. It was about like real personal stuff, right? It's guys get into that because if you can't build a relationship in there, then how can you build it out there? I think that was a good part for us to trust Tony for him to trust us. And then I think he just empowered us to go play, right? And I think it starts with Shane, starts with Tony, starts with Jim Bob, is to just go out there and play and trust our technique, trust that we're great players and play together, and finally come back to 5-1. I think when you do that, when you have that level of trust in players, they reciprocate it and go play fun and have a good time doing it. I think you've seen that on the field.